There is a pattern, a method to the madness. It's not perfect, but if you pay attention, it can help you avoid some disappointment. Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are going to take a look at the art chapter for Kaiju number 8, 119.1. I'm not going to worry about any spoilers because, well, there are none. But if you don't want to hear me talk about the art, you can go check out the links below the video to get yourself a copy of my book, Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, Short Absurd Science Fiction Stories Where Monty Python Meets Star Trek. Now, on to the art chapter. So I see a lot of people wondering, or rather expressing surprise that we got an art chapter rather than a regular chapter, whereas I was essentially expecting it. Number one, Matsumoto generally does take a few weeks off after Christmas and New Year's to rest and recuperate. Good for him, watching out for his long-term health. It's then to do with a little more of that in the manga industry. But there were also clues. The previous chapter ended with a simple to be continued black bar in the lower left-hand corner of the last page of the chapter. So chapter 119 ended just with that. And there was something missing. What was missing was the cute little chibi kaiju, black and white chibi kaiju number 8 drawing with a white box in his lap stating the date of the next chapter. The next chapter will hit, in this case, at the end of chapter 119.1, January 16th, which is the Thursday. See you then. This is, of course, the American time, so interestingly enough, they're putting the American time zones in the English translations. I think it actually hits Friday in Japan, but anyway, it's hitting the 16th. So from that, because of the presence of the little chibi kaiju number 8 sitting with the announcement in his lap, we know we're probably almost certainly going to get a full chapter. If you do not see the chibi kaiju number 8 on the previous chapter, then you're probably getting an art chapter after, or a break, or just a break. Now, this isn't 100%. Sometimes you do get a full regular chapter even if there is no chibi kaiju number 8 at the end of the chapter, but that chibi kaiju number 8 is a signal that you're definitely going to get a full chapter. I think about 75% of the time, the lack of the chibi kaiju number 8 announces an art chapter. So I just thought I'd lead off with that information. Now, the opening image of our art chapter is Kaguragi sporting his new custom weapon. Now, this is beginning to suggest an answer to a question that I had. So, is there another weapon number 2 suit? Or do you only ever get one weaponized suit out of each kaiju? So we know that the show explicitly stated that that Kikoru's weapon number 4 suit had to be modified from what it was when her mother wore it. So we know that she is wearing the exact same suit made of the same physical material that her mother made. And we know that these suits are passed down person to person. This would imply that there's only one weapon and one suit made per kaiju. But we've never actually had that confirmed. So I was wondering, were we going to see another weapon number 2? Or is there something that has to be harvested from the core that means you can only get one suit out of them? Well, I got really excited when I saw the cover of this art showcase because it shows a close-up of Kaguragi's weapon, and it looks very much like a souped-up version of the number 2 weapon. It looks to be about 3 or 4 times the size of Director General Isao Shidamaya's gauntlets. But they're referred to as a specialized weapon in the manga and not a numbered weapon. So specialized weapons basically just use human technology and not the corpse of a specific kaiju. There may be kaiju flesh tech integrated into it, but this is essentially just human tech. But for a second there, I thought we were looking at a modified version of weapon number 2, which would confirm that you can get more than one weapon out of each kaiju. But no, we're still left in the state where it kind of sort of implies that it's a hard line, one kaiju, one numbered weapon. But it's still not wholly confirmed. But looking at Kaguragi's weapon here, it's definitely based off the same technology. You have those two giant nail-looking pistons that slam down and generate a massive amount of force. Whether this works like a jackhammer with physical force or works by generating electrical force like those massive blasts that Kaiju number 2 could, we don't know. But I think it is pretty interesting that for what was we just see in a flash, I'm pretty sure there's only one scene in chapter 103, I think it was, where we saw Kaguragi using this weapon. I think it is pretty interesting and telling, and a hint to what we might see in upcoming chapters, that the art showcase opens with a close-up of Kaguragi's weapon rather even than Kaguragi himself. Very intense, well done artwork of Kaguragi there. Then we get a fun little rough sketch of Kikoru, focusing on her come at me bro attitude. Then we get an interesting pair of artwork, one that has Kafka and Reno, and Kafka's throwing up 3 fingers. Then you have the next one has Vice Captain Hoshino throwing up 4 fingers. As the next picture, like there's some sort of countdown going on. But neither the picture before nor after it is 2 and 5, so I don't know what's going on there. You have another picture of Kikoru and Kafka showing off their various attitudes. Likewise with Mina and Hoshina. A close-up of Kaiju number 8 in his power-up form. A flashback image to when Vice Captain Hoshina tried to fight Kaiju number 8. A fun image of the boys from Division 3, the rookies, chilling out after a hard day of training. They're dirty, they're grimy, they're exhausted, but they're having a good time. And there is something about this picture on page 10 that, looking at this, you can really see Matsumoto's ability to, 1, create distinctive characters without relying on anything absurd. All of their hairstyles are actually physically reasonable. You could achieve this with only minor use of hair care products. There's a little bit of unusual color in the hair, of course, but the shape and size of their hairstyles are all normal, average, realistic. So because you want the outline of each of your characters to be distinct, so that the character could be recognized entirely by a black silhouette, there is a temptation to draw your characters with exaggerated proportions somehow. And to be able to make characters that have distinctive silhouettes without drawing exaggerated and ridiculous proportions does take a lot of skill, a lot of fine-tuning. I bet if you blacked out each of these, made them a silhouette, you'd still be able to tell who was who. We get a close-up of Vice Captain Hoshina fighting Kaiju number 10 before he was slain, which is just awesome. I have long suspected from the early chapters that Vice Captain Hoshina was just Matsumoto's favorite character to draw. There is always a certain level of the art of Vice Captain Hoshina. It just looks better, more skilled, more inspired than the art of everybody else. We get a somber flashback look at Kaiju number 8, slowly transitioning back into Kafka's human form. A rookies with the captain and vice captain picture of, what is it? Is it Unit 3? Division 3. And my favorite bit of art in this, the last piece, you have official chibi versions of Mina, Bako, Jin, Kikoru, Kaiju number 8, Reno, and Vice Captain Hoshina, and all of them with their souped up weapons. walking along. You know how they often do with the openings and closings of anime. They draw chibi versions of people walking. I wouldn't be surprised if we get either the opening or the closing is an animated form of pages 14 and 15. Then we get the final Chibi Kaiju number 8, announcing when the next chapter will be, 2 weeks from now, January 16th on a Thursday. I'm looking forward to it. And I feel like getting a full 15 pages of art is more than average for an art chapter, but I think we got fewer art chapters this year. Well, what do you think? Do you think did we get fewer art chapters this year, and so Matsumoto had to pack a lot into it? Were you expecting an art chapter, as I was? I was hoping for a full chapter because, again, it was only about 75% of the time the lack of the Chibi Kaiju leads to an art chapter. And do you think that Kaguragi and his modified number 2 tech weapon are going to play a big role in the next chapters? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button. And peace out, my wonderful viewers. Step into a world of science and of story, of laughter and of tears. Betty Adams has crafted entire worlds of science fiction and science fantasy adventure in her Humans Are Weird series and in her Dying Embers series. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and become absorbed. Check out her books at the links below the video.